Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Chicago Northwestern themed Transport Fever 2 playthrough. This is episode 9, so we're already getting pretty deep into the series. Now, you may be curious, if this is your first time watching, why I just said it's a Chicago Northwestern themed build when you just saw two Penn Central trains roll through. Well, that's because last episode we added the Penn Central to the bottom left corner of the map just to kind of add a little bit more realism. You know, you're not going to only have one railroad rolling around, you're going to have multiple. So, before we get to the main purpose of today, which is developing a passenger route over the Penn Central up to Philadelphia to link up to the Northwestern, I want to give a shout out to user MD on YouTube. He made a comment on one of the earlier videos that he noticed, I'm running left-hand main, which is, again, prototypical to how the Chicago Northwestern ran, but because I was using, kind of the default right-handed signals, they were in the wrong position, right? They were kind of sitting in the middle between the two tracks, and it really didn't look quite right. Well, I had kind of resigned myself to doing that because I hadn't found a mod that would work for left-hand running U.S. railroads, but he actually suggested a really awesome signal mod, and you're actually seeing some of the assets right here, this signal bridge that comes with it. And so I actually went through, and I didn't. I did this definitely off camera because it's tedious to watch, but I went through and redid all of the existing signals on the lines. Some of them with signal bridges like this, most of them just with properly positioned signals now. And so they're all properly aligned. It looks way better, in my opinion. So I want to give a huge shout out. It's a mod by NS_37. If you search, I think, Class H or just H signal in the workshop, you'll be able to find it. And like I said, I think it adds just another little touch of realism to it. Over here, where we have 4 tracks, I did a 4-track signal bridge and put signals up here. And it's actually it's really cool. It's the signal bridge is an asset. So you got to go under your landscaping to do it, and then you set up how many tracks. I had to slightly offset it because this mod's built for, there's like an American track mod, but I'm using stock track, which is why you see the offset -3 for spacing purposes. But then you put that, and then you go into your signals, and there's ground signals, but then these up here without the asset they just kind of float, but with the asset they rest right on there. So really cool stuff, and glad to see it. So I wanted to give a shout out to start. Now, if you watched last episode, the only thing we had up and running on our Penn Central was this train right here, our PSL tools, our Port St. Lurie tools, and it's doing real well. We're up to 96, 97. I actually had to add up several freight cars because it kind of gets streaky based on demand. But that's doing real well. But the other off-camera work that I did was I built a couple additional lines here because, if we didn't up the population in these towns, this episode really wouldn't be worth it too much because you're not going to really generate any passenger traffic because there's no passengers to be had. So what I did was Clearwater needs food, Philly needs food, and what I did was we've got this food processing plant here, and it takes either meat or coffee beans or alcohol and turns it into 2 food. And so I ran a line over here. We have a meat processing plant. As you can see, it's very well stocked and in the process of leveling up, and it's turning fish into meat. And so there's a train that runs the meat back over here, and then some of the food obviously just gets trucked straight over to Clearwater. Some of the food goes on a train up north to Philly. Now, this is doing well for us because it's making money both ways. Now, where's the fish coming from? We have 2 fisheries, but this line, it starts here, it picks up fish, runs down here, drops the fish off for this train to pick up, picks up any food that's ready, runs it back up to Philly, and then comes back down here. And so this is largely making money both ways. And so, it's starting to do pretty well, despite the fact that, again, these electric engines. This is another electric route. I figure since this is kind of a branch line, and since this is kind of a branch line, I wouldn't electrify it. And I've got Alco assets. We have our first intermodal assets. We'll definitely talk about that more next episode. So I don't dwell on this too much because this is up and running. It's more the fact that these were necessary, and you can see the impact. It's worked pretty darn well. So now we have population centers big enough that we're going to actually get the most out of it. So the goal for today then is we're going to build a passenger line that runs from Port St. Lucie PSL up to Clearwater and then up to Philly and back. And those will be its 3 stops. And then we're going to do just a quick shuttle route from here over to Hartford. And then that'll be it. And we should see, this should be pretty well used because right now, can they get to Philly? You have some folks getting to Philly. No one's going to Clearwater, and certainly no one's going to Port St. Lucie. So you're going to see a good amount of new traffic here, and that should have a ripple effect where you see ridership go up here, which ridership's already up. We're still sitting around that 600 range. Now, notice the year. It is 1973, which means that, if we were to go look, we're starting to see some Amtrak assets available, because this is when you're starting to see Amtrak come online. Yeah, so you see we could run an E8 painted in an Amtrak scheme. We'll see more come here probably as the build goes. We'll see, I think, some AEMs and some other things. So let's go ahead and get to building. So we've got our existing bus routes here. I'm trying to think of the best location to place our station here. Let's go ahead and upgrade there. This is another one of our assets that we have. Why is it default to 40? Okay. We definitely want to use catenary. We're going to definitely have this be an electrified line. Let's make this big. We want this to be, again, we want this to be a major route. So let's treat it as such. Okay, now this is perfect because look, that bus route is already highlighted, which means we don't even need to put an additional stop. They'll just walk over from here, which is awesome. Okay. So that'll be our first one. We'll come up, and I think we want to stick to this outer periphery here. So let's look at, is this going anywhere important? No, it's not. So let's destroy that. Okay. Let's have each city kind of have its own vibe here. Now, you might be wondering why I'm doing this when I already have, a station over here. I already have a cargo station down here. It's completely within the character of the Chicago Northwestern to have cargo and passengers together. If you're unfamiliar with the history of the C&W, they were historically a very frugal line, and so one of the running jokes is that C&W didn't stand for Chicago Northwestern; it stood for cheap and nothing wasted. So it makes sense that they're combining facilities. But over here, I mean, this is one of the reasons why the New York Central and Penn had to merge, and one of the reasons why the Penn Central went bankrupt pretty fast is because those railroads weren't as mindful of those kinds of cost considerations, and so let's keep it in character. So we want each to have kind of its own character here. Now, That's not necessarily near a tram stop, though. Is that going to be okay? What if I put it here? Yeah, but that's not close either. We'll just add one. Actually, let's do this. Let's see. See, but the dilemma I have here is I don't want, because this city's going to get boxed in if they've got this over here. So I'm going to build this out here. Actually, we'll build up some infrastructure to support this. Okay, so that's online. Now comes the fun one, because we really got to be mindful of positioning, because again, we want to run our link over to Hartford. And let's take advantage of this stop right here. And let's do another elevated one. Let's consider an elevated one. So we've got to load the asset. Maybe. It's thinking. There we go. I think is that the one I used over here? Which one did I use over there? Yeah, that is. Okay, let's change. If we're going to use elevated, let's change it up. That looks cool. Okay, original roof. Yeah, I like that. Let's extend the length a little bit. Ooh, could we? Okay, that's going to connect, and then we might just push that one stop over slightly. I kind of like that. I think that's going to look cool. And then we'll just eventually move that county highway. That's no big deal at all. Okay, I like that. I like it a lot. Alright. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and make this a two-laner. Let's go ahead and upgrade this one. And then let's go ahead and put one right here just to help foster development right near the station. Just to make sure, yep, it's got access to it. Okay. Perfect. This will be super cool. I like the center platform piece. I wish you could build like multiple out. Yeah, like I wish you could add like another module. I think that'd be really cool. But it's a cool pack. We're going to make the most of it here. Okay, so we've got our trains set up. We've got to build out our Clearwater connection here, and that's okay. We're going to build this street out because if I'm looking at this right, yep, so it loops around like this way, so we can have it duck back out and come back in. So we're going to have to do some slight eminent domain. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make that a country road because we don't want development to happen right next to it. Let's turn it in. We use the curve tool, make it a little more natural of a movement. There we go. Okay, does this still, yes, okay. Now, eventually we might have to go back and replace these stops for full stations just because of capacity concerns. We'll go ahead and take care of that right now. Now lower this down. We're going to do this. Let's see if we can get this right here. Nope, we don't need yet. Okay. And then we will need do something like that. So pull up our routes, and this is Clearwater Loop. So between 12th and Forest. That's interesting. How would it do that? It's got tram tracks. I don't like it. I think it's an unnecessary movement, so I am... There we go. I just think that looks cleaner. Okay, so now we're connected there. Let's build our rails. The key with your high-speed rail, which when we get closer to modern era, you're going to see the speeds on these cook up. You got to leave yourself a lot of space for turns to keep up that top speed there. In fact, I might end up repositioning this to be more right down there, because I think it'll be easier to approach that way. Yeah, it will. Alright, that should work for now. I'm going to convert this to a country 2-lane road, just to again keep development from going immediately to it. Because as you're going to see in the next episode, when we go to do some cleanup work back on the northwestern routes, we've got some emission problems to worry about. So the only spot where that's under 186 is right at where it's starting leaving the station, and I'm totally cool with that because it's not going to ever be at that speed. This is a terminating point on the line, so that's going to be when it's accelerating anyway. Really does not want me. There we go. There we go. Okay. Curve this around. Oops. We went the wrong side, no big deal, easy fix. Such a slight difference, it won't impact the speed at all. It's not like it's going to force an awkward curve or anything. So that's in good shape. Alright, and now And I'm trying to be mindful and watch this because the other big thing outside of curves when you're traveling at these higher speeds is you got to try and keep as level as possible. And I'm going to keep to the outside here just to avoid, boxing the city in, but also that way if we want to access that industry in the future. Okay, let's go ahead and complete our double track. Ooh, it does not want to follow. Let's make sure we're following. There we go. Ooh. I was wondering, we are stuck on February 1973 for a long time here. You can actually pause the date, which I did while I was doing kind of the pre-episode work because I didn't want to jump too far into the future. But I obviously forgot to unpause it. So that's good there. And this is going to generate a lot of revenue because it's a lot of distance, right? Which is, that's what we're looking for here. Let's do a quick signal. Boom. We've got our depot. Let's go ahead and signalize what we have and then we'll finish our route. And remember, we are on the Pennsylvania, so we're running right hand, just like most railroads, which will make things interesting when we run a C&W passenger train into the same station as a Penn Central passenger train. Well, which is really an Amtrak passenger train at this point, I think it will be. Oh, hello. I'm glad we're doing this because that would have been weird to have that gap. Sometimes it does that in the game, which is really frustrating, where you have random gaps and then you'll try and build your routes and it'll tell you it's not complete, and unless you're really zoomed in like I was, you won't even spot it. Okay, so yeah, like I said, we're heading into the mid-70s, which is, the Penn Central is going to collapse here pretty soon because merging the New York Central and the Penn really did not solve all of their issues. The government really had two constricting regulations on the railroads still. There was bloat and other issues with the railroads that they were either incapable or unwilling to overcome. And so, quick as you like, within an episode or two, we're going to be seeing some blue locomotives on this part of the map because it will transition to Conrail. Because basically what happens is there's essentially a government takeover and there's going to be a publicly held railroad, which will eventually go private, right? They'll basically right the ship, fix the situation, and then eventually they'll actually split it in half, and Norfolk Southern will take half of the route, and then CSX will take the other half. So you'll see some Conrail stuff coming pretty soon. Let's run... No, I don't want concrete. There we go. So I'm thinking what I want to do here is have this merge onto one track and have this be the Penn Central track, and then have, the Chicago Northwestern, and they'll merge onto this track and have it be the Northwestern track. I think that's the simplest and most efficient way to do this. So let's have this wrap around. And again, we're at slower speeds here, but I'm fine because it's during the final approach into the city, so I'm perfectly okay with that. Also, that this will allow us to do our merge sooner. And the distance we're covering is so great that that's not really going to be a huge issue here. so let's see. I want to signalize here. I guess we're okay. Yeah, that's a long time though. I could easily see some issues happening. So we're gonna 86 that decision. And we'll still merge, but we'll do it while we're overhead. We certainly have the gap right here to do that. There we go. Okay, so now we can signalize. Let's get really tricky here and dwarf signal this bad boy. Which are these like low to the ground signals that you'll see. It doesn't kind of clips the bridge. That's okay. I'm cool with that. But you would see those commonly on approach. Again, at like the Chicago Northwestern, the Ogilvy station in Chicago, you'd see dwarf signals. So it's not like it's completely out of thin air. There's some precedent for it. Okay, so that's that approach. Let's go ahead and build our line and run some trains. And then we will... Okay. Start here. Yep. Stay on track on that track. And then we're going to go to Philadelphia. And then we're going to come back down to Clearwater. I want you on the other track, yep, so that way when it's coming back that way, it's going the proper way. And then it will finish back here at PSL. Okay, perfect. And we're going to call this, since it ends at Philly and we're on the East Coast, we're going to call it the Keystone Corridor. Okay, now, what options do we have for electric well, we got to do, I mean, it's going to cost us, but we're sitting plus $1 billion at this point, so I don't care. But how do you not do a GG1 with a Pennsylvania rail? I mean, come on. And look, we've got Penn Central coaches. Yeah, this is happening for sure. Again, it's not going to be the best to start off, but it's going to get the job done. And again, we're going to have Amtrak stuff soon, so it's okay. How long does it take to get up to speed? Oof. It's going to take a minute. But, again, this is my example of why I wanted that airline route that makes such stupid money that it allows us to do things like this, where we're trying to be a little more accurate to the real world, even if it doesn't necessarily fit the game's mechanics, per se. Yeah, it's a beaut. We got these patched Penn Central coaches. Oh yeah, this is a good call. Okay, so we're gonna let that run because we need to build up, some rider demand and things like that. Let's get up here to Philly. Actually, let's get up here to Hartford. Oof, you can see, oof. Like I said, we're going to have to do a cleanup and improvement video here pretty soon. Look at the growth in Hartford, trying to branch up over into the hills there. How are we sitting for population? Yeah, 1805, okay. It'll be interesting to see what the modifier changes, because right now, look at our public transportation modifier, 120%. I mean, so we're already doing a great job of providing public transportation access, but let's see if we can take it just a step further. Alright, now this is going to be tricky, because I want to do this in a way that doesn't destroy everything. Wow, it didn't destroy that building. That's a start. I don't think that start's going to last with where we have to go. Only one building's going to be removed? Dang, okay, never mind. I take that back. This is why we're doing overhead. Okay. So far, so good. Let's do a broad turn. I'm cool with 150. It's not 186, but it's the best we can do in those circumstances. And look at that, we've got pretty much a straight shot in to Philly. Ooh, okay, let's fix that real fast. Remember, it's important that we don't let our vehicle quality degrade too much because that's a huge contributor to emissions. Oof, and look at that, we got a lot of very bads. Let's fix that quickly. Hartford goods 2. Okay, got all that taken care of. I'd be interested to see, like I said, how that impacts our emissions here going forward. Now, where? Okay, that keeps us on track. It absolutely does. Okay. This is going to be an expensive crossing. Expensive, but worth it. We're going to do... yeah. No way. As lumpy as I'll get at, we're going to take it for now. Actually, no, we're not. We need, for reasons that will become clear in a moment, smooth this out. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, and then what we'll do here is just build a quick overpass. We don't need tram. Ta-da. There we go. Okay. There we go. And the key is we got to make sure that the green is there, you know, so we have good passage through. Like that. Okay. Now I want to raise the terrain right here for reasons. Perfect. Nope. It's super finicky when you got multiple things on the line here. I want this to be, there we go. Okay. How well? Too much slope. Yep, okay. So we back off just a smidge and try again. And lo and behold, we've got it. Okay. That's some... You know, if we were true to C&W form, we would have gone here and over. But we'll take a little liberties with this, because it's cool. That's a cool span. Now I gotta call mulligan. That's just too outside the realm of realism here. Alright, so hold on. Okay, let's see if we can... Stop it. Let's see if we can approach it from this way. Actually, let's... Yep. Like that. It's gonna really slow down. Okay. Okay. Let's build... Yeah, that actually seems fitting for this bridge crossing that we're trying to do. Let's build it that way. Now, if I do that right now, I'm slowing down to 83 miles an hour. That's pretty yucky. So let's sever this for a minute. Let's see, what would it take? Yeah. Yeah, I like that much better. Okay. And then we'll do something a little funky here. Because I don't think we've done any road tunnels yet. Okay, that looks good. Let's smooth this all out. Ooh, that got weird. What the heck happened there? Take it all back. What the heck happened there? That got really funky. Okay, so we're not going to use that tool because that looked weird. We'll fix it through other means. Yeah. Okay. I've never seen it do that before. I don't know. I want to extend this a little bit more. Okay. Let's try this again. So we got that out of the way. Now, that's solid. And a little more prototypical for what the Northwestern would do. Not just go diagonally across two bodies of water. They would definitely mind the price tag on that little operation there. We're going to have it go this way. Back this up just a smidge. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to unpause. Now here's where we're going to have to lose more buildings here. No? Are you kidding? This is... okay. I'm not complaining. I'm just shocked. Wow. Alright, well, overhead rail for the win. That bridge looks very weird now that we removed our original route over. Okay. Signals. Oh yeah, because we dwarf signal our way out of here. Okay, and then once we get back on the ground, we'll do it the right way. The tricky part will be, can I add switches in? Overhead. We did it on the other side. Will it let us here? Moment of truth time. Okay. Yes. That is outstanding. Now, this is coming in on track 1, so we're going to come out here. Again, it doesn't got a little floating signal action. That's okay. Alright, now do a new line here. Yep, we want it line 1. We'll do yellow for CNW since we already have a green CNW line. And we're going to come... ooh, look, we already got passengers. Love it. Here. We're going to call this the Kate Shelley 400 because I just think it's the coolest. It's a cool name for the 400 route. And there we go. So now we just got to build our train. Do we have a depot that's accessible? That's the $1,000,000 question. I don't think we do, because this depot goes this way. So let's do this. We're just going to build one like on the outskirts of town. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, I don't like any of these electric options. By this point, the Northwestern would have surrendered its passenger operations to regional authority to Amtrak, which Amtrak pretty quickly abandoned because by this point the C&W didn't really have very good routes. But that's not here, is it? So let's go ahead and we'll actually do a little Amtrak action. Actually, let's speed this up and see if we get anything in 1974 that'll help us. Let's see. Do we? We get, ooh, it's going to help us next episode. There's those ST-42s I was talking to you about. So we'll go ahead and we have an analog that we can use. So let's go ahead and get this on. And we'll do one in reverse. And we'll do that. There is, I have an asset for actual Amfleet, which is these West Rail Westfleet cars. Those are stock passenger cars. They're based on Amtrak's Amfleet passenger cars. I actually have a mod for that, but I think we're another year out. Alright. Let's see what this thing can get up to. I'm kind of curious. Decent speed. The acceleration's not great, but it's a longer run, so it's not the end of the world. It's definitely taking its sweet time getting up to speed, though. Yeah, our reinforcements can't come soon enough. Let's hope that happens in 1975. Okay, look at that. Alright, so we got 67 folks waiting for the Keystone corridor. 30 out of 72 right now. How are we looking here? We have 6 that want to go to PSL. That's a decently full train. And we have 12 that are looking to go north. Well, first of all, let's do this. Let's replace that because we had new buses come out. And then we're going to duplicate, help get them around faster. And then, ooh, hello, what do we got going on here? Let's get some more machine trucks. Help out with that. Okay. So this dude's crawling out. Let's go ahead and make another one. Again, I know we're losing tons of money on this, but I don't particularly care. Now let's go ahead and double this because you're starting to see usage happen. The growth is continuing because, yeah, look at this modifier now, plus 90% for public transport options. And again, I'm guessing we're going to start to see some folks really want to use the Kate Shelley here in a little bit. It's just going to take time. And the other cool thing about the station option is, or asset is, we've got these other cities. Are we going to connect them? Is Philly going to become a hub? I mean, it's a good question to ask. So, speaking of, where is our Kate Shelley 400? Did it already take off? Yep, it's rolling into Hartford with nobody. Yeah, Okay, we got 3 people that want to ride Kate Shelley, so that's a good sign. We're going to do a time jump, and then we're going to wrap things up and see how we're looking. Alright, reinforcements have arrived. Let's slow our speed down. We'll play with those box cars here in a little bit, but I am much more interested in the locomotives and everything that just showed up. So, let's see now. Did I catch? No, when are our AM fleets showing up here? I'll have to look and see. That's neither here nor there. Okay, so let's check this out. The classic F40PH has just showed up. They have they have 220 kilowatts, 409 kilonewtons. Where does that compare to the E8s? I bet we can get away with just one. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. Now, critically, where are our, here we go. It's time to retire our GG1s because we now have AEM 70Cs. And these guys get the job done. That's the stock version. This is the mod that actually has Amtrak, which we're going to use. Can we rainbow consist this a little bit? Well, that's tempting. Ooh, but that caps out the top speed there at 75 miles an hour. I don't want to do that. But I do want to. Okay, so what I'm referring to, if you're unfamiliar, in the first few years of Amtrak, right, they were handed basically all of the private rail companies' stock, and we're just kind of told, do with it as you will. And so Amtrak mixed and matched quite a bit of stuff here. So we're going to do that a little bit. We're going to use some of our assets here. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks cool. Okay, so we've got our rainbow consist. Let's see what that does to our top speed. Oh yeah, that's cool. And again, very on brand. I dig it. Alright, well I'm going to do one quick check, one more look over now that we've had those reinforcements. Ooh, what's going on here? Ooh, we got to help them out big time. Okay. Yep, one more check. I'm going to do a quick time jump to 1976. We'll speed our time up. I want to see if we can get those AM fleets, and if not, we'll call it there. But look at this. This is great, and it's definitely also having an impact because it's pushing up ridership on the other routes, right? Basically, once one of these trains comes in, you have some folks getting down here to get on the bus, but a lot of them are just hopping over, and they're getting over to ride the Peninsula 400, which is cool. So we'll jump back in, see if those arrive, and then we'll wrap it up. Alright, our reinforcements did arrive as I anticipated, so I'm going to go ahead and slow our time back down. And I'm not going to upgrade everything, because I actually kind of like the idea that we're showing off the rainbow concepts a little bit. I think it's kind of cool, to be honest with you. But let's go ahead and replace these. Now I saw... Yeah, let's move to phase 3. I'm cool with that. Yep, here's the AM fleets. We'll add one coach, what's our current capacity? 21. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah, that looks like Amtrak proper. And then let's edit this guy here. Let's get the coach on. Let's edit this guy here. Get his coach on. And then let's have one that's actually proper. Like they actually got the proper amount of cars in for this one. I think that'll be cool to have some variety. Yeah, that is cool. Okay. Alrighty then, I think we are set to wrap this up. See if we can get a cool shot to close out the episode. Alright, well we are in awesome shape. We've established 2 new passenger routes. We've got our Keystone corridor just rocking with tons of demand. We've got our Kate Shelley 400 that's linked up Philadelphia to Hartford, and that's had a great impact over there. In fact, you can see the impact, continuing to skyrocket over here. But even Hartford, right? You've seen a bump up because that modifier's gone up, and now we're pushing 2,000, which is outstanding. So again, next time when we come back, we're going to be doing a lot of cleanup over here because we have neglected our main area, the northwestern portions of the line, the last 2 episodes while we built up our Penn Central. So we will be coming back there to see how things are going and see what we can update with our new rolling stock and locomotive. So thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode.